Let's talk about Nigeria's militant Islamic group Boko Haram. They sparked international condemnation last April after kidnapping 276 schoolgirls. As the group continue their fight to overthrow the Nigerian government, many women and girls are still subject to danger, including forced early marriage and the possibility of violence for going to school. My next guest has been threatened, well, one of her team has been threatened at gunpoint over her determination to make a difference to the lives of those young women. Joining us is Ngozi Eze, who is the director of Women for Women International in Nigeria, a non-profit organisation supporting women from war-torn regions like Nigeria and indeed other areas around the world as well. It's an absolute pleasure to have you in this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start, should we, with Boko Haram, and then we can talk more generally about the work that you do. Okay. It is well over 300 days now since the girls disappeared. It was very much the topic of conversation right around the world at the time, Save Our Girls, as we remember that hashtag. But it seems to have faded from the international stage. What about in Nigeria? How is it viewed there?
In Nigeria, the populace, we are still very frustrated that our girls are not yet being brought back. It's more than 316 or 317 days now. We know that the girls, they've been held hostage of a sort. I know the government has been trying to push back the attacks of Boko Haram, but we are worried that up till date our girls are not back. Not only the first batch that we are taking, we also learned that another set of girls, over 100 of them were taken. So we are saddened by that, and we are hopeful and prayerful that they should be brought back.
This is right up in the far northwest of the country, isn't it? Northeast of the country, I should say, forgive me.
Yes.
But of course there are issues for girls and women right around the country in Nigeria.
Absolutely, yes. Women, especially poor, vulnerable women, face a lot of challenges. There has been lately violence against women, like rape, on the increase. There are also some communities where women face inheritance, infringement of their rights on inheritance issue. We still have in some communities the son preference where, if a woman doesn't have a son, she doesn't have the right to inherit the property. Although the laws are there, sometimes due to ignorance and illiteracy, women do not know how to access their rights. So we do a lot of work, like our 12-month holistic program, to provide rights awareness education, leadership training, business skills education.
And how challenging is that? I mean, are you pushing against an open door? How do men react when you go into the communities and say, we are here to help these women? You've helped, what, 50-odd thousand so far? Now
about 52,000 since we commenced in 2000. Some of the men are supportive, some of the men we have to bring around, but we don't just go into communities to start the intervention. We have what we call the community assessment. We speak with the stakeholders, religious leaders, traditional rulers, to, tell them about our program, how it's going to benefit the women, how it's going to benefit the community. And I would say that even we have a grant now from DFID to do men's engagement program, which we had started in 2000, empowering men to empower their communities and also to deal with issues of violence against women. So from 2014,
is that a big issue?
It's a big issue. It's a very big issue because we have the patriarchal ideology, and you know that the predominant religion also say women should be submissive. But gradually this is beginning to change because of the activities of Women for Women as well as other civil society organizations.
How difficult is it for you to do your job? I heard you talking earlier on in the week and one of your team was shot at.
Yeah, we were extremely lucky. One of my colleagues coming back from Nsukka Axis was actually shot at, but she escaped. Violence happens in different parts of the country. I know the police are trying their best. We've also lost a lot of military men trying to curb violence. So I think it's a big issue which collaboratively everybody has to put hands on deck to ensure that violence against women, especially against everybody, is brought to a halt.
And you've gained the trust of many women now, haven't you? And they actually contact you and say, don't come today because it's not safe? Or?
Yeah, sometimes we do get information from community not to come to work in the communities because if the routes are not safe, then it's not advisable that we should go. Some years ago, we actually lost a lot of our women in Jos Plateau, where many of them were killed, and we had to do an emergency relief program in the midst of our 12-month program. We've also lost some women due to diseases or HIV and AIDS because we partner with some organization to provide counseling and testing for those women, and if they are found to be positive, to be given retroviral medication as well as form support networks. We also work with the banks. Now we work with about 4 MFIs, microfinance institutions, and 2 commercial banks to ensure that our women are financially included. So women in our program, about 5,000 annually are included. You know, they have bank accounts and they receive their training stipends through the banks.
That's fantastic.
So we encourage them to do savings, to form cooperatives, so that when we leave the community, they can have their own income-generating activities.
And do you think, Ngozi, you will ever see your girls back again? That's a very stark way of putting it, but how concerned are you that they have now been sold on to slavery or whatever has happened to them and they will never come back?
I'm very concerned. I'm saddened because I think everybody indeed is very concerned because we sometimes worry that they're exposed to exploitation, to rape, forced labor, all forms of atrocities visited on them. And you can imagine the trauma the families are going through, the families of the girl. So we are just being prayerful, although I would say we are saddened now that the girls some female have also joined the suicide bombers. You know, you've heard recently that girls. So for us, it's a worrisome development, but we are being prayerful. And I know the whole of Nigeria, a lot of people, churches, youth groups, families, institutions, we are praying that our girls be brought back.
You're here. We appreciate you coming along today. You're here for another week, and then you're heading back just in time for International Women's Day.
Yes, we are going to celebrate the International Women's Day on the 7th, not on the 8th, which is celebrated around the world, 8th March of every year. And we are going to also highlight the achievements of women, the successes of women, as well as the gaps that haven't been, made regarding women's human rights achievement. We also like asking the government to ensure that policies are put in place to protect the lives of women and girls and to educate women and empower women so that we can have sustainable environment and peaceful environment.
I could talk to you all day. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very
so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.